Scoot, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, you are going to be watching the rerun of the podcast that happened yesterday between myself and SmithDoggy. So just to let you know a little bit of information about that, the stream or the podcast is live every Sunday at 2 p.m, providing that we have a guest. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that turned up yesterday. I think we had one of the most successful podcasts we've had to date. We've up to, I think, about 27 people in the chat yesterday. I hope everyone that tuned in enjoyed it. I've had a lot of good feedback, so I appreciate all the kind words that everyone's been saying. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And once again, thank you so much, Smith, for coming and joining me yesterday. He had to actually wake up early, guys. He'd worked the night shift. He woke up early to join me. So I hope that there's some things in this video that you guys can take away. Appreciate your support, guys. If you're new around here, please hit that sub button and also hit that like button if you do enjoy the video. Welcome everybody to episode number 3 of the SG podcast. Today we have got a fantastic guest, someone who we kind of been in touch for probably about 4 or 5 months now, which seems a lot longer than what it probably feels like, but you know, one of them. But we both met whilst under Omen Origins, so, and then very quickly, about a month after meeting each other, we both parted ways with that. But you know, whether we get into that or not is up to Smith, really, if we want to talk about it or not. But before we get into the podcast, let me tell you guys where you can find us. So you can find us live on Sundays from 2 p.m. You can find us on the YouTube channel on Mondays at 6:30 p.m. And you can also find us on a Monday on Spotify. So all the links will be in the YouTube description. The YouTube is SmithyDoggy Gaming, and the Spotify, if you literally just search the SG podcast, it should come up. So with that being said, Smith, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, not too bad. So the way that these shows start, I've got like a little bit of an icebreaker. So 3 topics. You don't know, each topic has a number, so 1 to 3, but you don't know what's behind each number. As soon as you say a number, I'll tell you what that topic is, and then you have to say the first thing that comes to your mind. So an example of this that we had last week was, and by the way, the topics have changed from last week, but one of them was mental health, because I knew that Robbie wanted to talk about mental health with me. So that topic that he picked just out of nowhere was mental health, so it's number 2, and his thing was stigma. So then we spoke about the stigmas behind mental health. So that's an example of how this will work. So go ahead, pick a number 1 to 3.
Number 3.
The number 3 is streaming investment.
Oh, okay. That's saucy.
Okay. So my idea behind this, and my first question behind streaming investment, is dependent on what YouTube videos you watch when you're first getting into streaming. Some people will say, get the best equipment because you're going to end up upgrading it at some point anyway if it works out for you. Other people will say, just get yourself the bare minimum, get yourself a capture card and a PC that can process that and start off there. And if things work out, then upgrade. What would you sort of recommend in terms of streaming investment?
I definitely think when you first start out, there's no point jumping in head first into getting all the bells and whistles, because the thing about streaming is that there's a lot of sort of finding yourself and your own content and your own rhythm in that. And that's not down to the equipment. You need to learn to speak to nobody to start off with anyway. You've got to 100%. Develop all these behaviors. And whether or not you've got an 2080 Ti and a fucking DSLR camera and all this, that's not going to make any difference. You need to learn that yourself. And so there's no point jumping in, let's go ahead and spend £4,000, when, quite frankly, the horrible truth is that you are probably going to have 0 viewers for quite a long time anyway. Yeah. So you might as well develop those behaviors before you go and spend all that money. Or it's just, you might not even like streaming as well. Yeah. People think streaming's easy. It's not. You might not like it, and then before you know it, there's like £4,000 or whatever, like, gone. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think. Do not go in and spend all that straight away. Find yourself, find your content, and if you enjoy it, then look at making that investment. That's what I think anyway.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people like join my chat and they'll say, "Oh, what mic have you got?" or "What mic would you recommend?" And my question is, you know, how long have you been streaming? because if you've been streaming a year, 2 years, and you've got a decent sized community behind you, and you've used the sort of bare minimum, maybe a 30-40 pound USB mic and a very cheap webcam, and maybe some parts of your setup are things that you're going to keep. Like I had an HD60S for pretty much since day one, and I still have it now. So some things you do have to invest in early doors to make sure that your content competes with other people. But other things you don't need to invest as heavily. Me and you both got what looked like quite expensive headsets. You don't need, you don't even need a headset, to be fair, to stream. You just need earphones or something like that. But as you go along, if it's your passion, if it's your hobby, go for it, invest in it if that makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
But I do agree. I think the biggest thing is like you just said there, though, you could spend, $4,000 on a computer and £1,000 on a mic setup and all that, and then realize that you've not got any viewers because you've only just started streaming, and then you're sitting there going, oh, but I wanted 6-man stat lobbies and all this, and I've got alerts, but they never go off because I don't get any followers, and you invest all this money in graphics and hardware to only then 6 months later go, you know what, this streaming thing isn't for me, like it takes far too long. And like you said, I think that's the big thing, is that people expect to be able to hit that live button, a month later be affiliated, 3 months later be partnered. It doesn't happen that way.
I wish. Please, whatever universe that is in, I want in. But no, that's not the truth. That's not it at all. Like I say, a lot of people think that everyone wants to be a content creator. Nobody wants to put the work in. That's the honesty of it. There's a ton of people who'll take it up. And I definitely think try it. If you want to try it absolutely. But there is a very real chance that it might not be what you had pictured. It's not what I had pictured, not necessarily in a bad way, but there's definitely other difficulties and things attached to it. And as well, you'll go through different waves of motivation. One day you'll wake up and you're like, I'm gonna take over the fucking world today. And then another day you'll wake up and you just don't want to do it. And it's are you going to be the kind of person that's going to push through that? If you're going to be the kind of person that's just going to, they don't want to push through, that's fine. But again, then that's where all that money is just gone. And you'll never see that again, because you're not going to get the same money for your equipment when you sell it on eBay in 2 weeks. You're getting like half your money back. So think about that. I'm just turning my fan off because I'm cold.
What do you think on that same topic then, on motivation with streaming and content? What do you think is like the biggest demotivational thing with streaming? Do you think it is do you think it's like more stats based, so i.e. viewer count and views on YouTube? Or
100%, 100%. I mean, people say not to look at the numbers. It's impossible not to. Our entire career in this is based around numbers. Without those numbers, we might not have a job. We could go from when both of us one day are doing this full time, overnight it can go, and it's scary. So to come on one day, and bad streams happen, like with anything. So there might just be an unfortunate, coincidences with your regular viewers where they can't all make it on one day, and you just have a stream where you're on way less viewers than you'd usually be. And people say, don't look at your viewer count. It's right saying that. It's not so easy. Sometimes you'll just have a click and you'll have a look. Bang, it's down a little bit. And then before you know it, your whole motivation's gone. You're feeling rubbish because you're thinking, why is nobody watching me? And it just goes from there. YouTube especially, I've don't know how other people feel. I think YouTube's harder than Twitch to grow in, personally. YouTube seems so difficult. And you can put hours and hours into this video, editing it. You're like, God, this is the best thing I've ever made. People are going to absolutely love this. And then you put it on and it gets less views than anything else. Like, how do you stay motivated through that? It's hard. It's about the drive. Like, are you okay with having that and pushing through? Like, do you want it bad enough to feel some days like you're not good enough, and then pick yourself up and say, well, if I'm not good enough now, I'm going to be good enough later, so I'm going to learn from this and push forward. It's about how you take those numbers and either use them to motivate you, or you just sit there and you're like, guess I can't do it. Back I go to my 9-to-5 that I've hated for the last fucking 8 years. Do you know what I mean? It's how are you going to do it?
Yeah, I agree. I think the best advice I ever had is I went through a period. So I've been just for those guys that might be new in here, and I guess for yourself as well. So I started streaming when I was like 13 years old, or at least making YouTube videos. I had what we spoke about, a minimum setup, you know, a laptop that just about was able to edit and process the things I needed it to do. And I got basically like, not bullied, I wouldn't go as far as that, but people certainly took the mick out of me creating videos and stuff. And at that age, I wasn't resilient enough to sort of push that off and shrug it off and go, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be making millions. And then what are you going to say? It affected me and I stopped streaming. So 2 years ago, I got back into streaming, and that was, you know, after watching all these YouTube videos on how to do it properly now, how to do it, you know, more scheduled and how to do it professionally, essentially. And I definitely think that we've like you just said with the YouTube stuff, it's so much harder to get past, you know, to not look at the numbers, because when you stream, you can turn off that view account. You can, yeah, maybe check after you stream at how many followers you gained or whatever, and you can just sort of stream to the people in your chat or to nobody. And yeah, if you have a few days of nobodies, or you have a few days where your view account is half what you usually would have, that does get to you. But with YouTube, like you said, you know, you're going to take the time out of streaming maybe to spend on this YouTube video that you're hoping gets 1,000 views or 10,000 views, or gets to, you know, bigger numbers than you've ever had, and you've spent more time editing it, and you might have paid someone to make the thumbnail because I can do it better than you can. And then that, you know, churns out 30 views in a week, and you sit there going, yeah, is YouTube really worth me taking time out of streaming?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me is with Cold War, I've now got back into like making YouTube videos, whether it be the camo grind videos or class setup videos or whatever the content is. And then I'm now taking sort of 2-3 hours off the end of my stream, where usually I would have streamed till midnight. I'm now stopping at 10 to spend 2 hours working on videos. And yeah, YouTube's certainly harder to grow on for sure, because there's no, you can't necessarily network on YouTube. I mean, you can go around, you can drop comments, but you know, with Twitch, it's easier to actually live chat with people. You can raid people as well, so now they instantly know that you stream, so you haven't got to, you know, self promo or any of that. Yeah, I do think though that it's difficult to push through sometimes. I almost gave up in November time last year. I streamed for a year, and all I was doing was looking at my view account, looking at how many followers I gained, looking at subs, because obviously you want to do it full time one day. And if you're sitting on 5 subs a month, you're not in any position to, you know, you don't even get your payout off that. Not. So it was difficult. And then I changed my whole thing, like my girlfriend, because what I was doing was looking at what successful streamers, people like Scump and all those who, fair enough, are famous in their own right through other stuff other than streaming, but their streams are also successful. So I was looking and copying them and copying their content and streaming the same things. And my girlfriend said to me, she said, don't follow the path to other people's success. You know, create your own path and the success will follow. And as soon as she said it, I thought, you know what? That is so true. Like, even if it takes, you know, me 4 years to get 100 viewers, that's my path. That as long as I enjoy my path to that point, I'm happy. I think that's a good bit of advice, man, to a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely lessons to learn from those people. After all, they are successful for a reason.
Yeah.
And there's things you can take away from it. I find most people aren't going to be able to keep up that act if they are, you know, trying to mimic somebody else. That's not going to last forever. That's not it's what I would call a unsustainable business model. You can't do that forever. One day it'll give up, then you're back to being yourself, and this audience that you've built on pretty much somebody else's back isn't going to be there for it. They're not there for that. They were there for this false character that you build up. So you're just gonna have to be yourself. The really unfortunate and hard truth of it is that maybe not everybody has, or potentially, well, I don't want to say that because I think there is an audience out there for everybody, but it might not suit everybody. And the way, I don't know, the way you think and the way you carry yourself might not be suitable for an audience. So it might not be for everybody, but I'd think give it a go. Definitely just be yourself, and who knows, you just might find that audience. Like, someone's got to make it. Why couldn't it be us? You know?
Yeah. I always think that it's the same thing with Syndicate. You know, Syndicate sold what was a Lucasade at school to be able to fund his streaming upgrades. And, you know, he was of the same mindset, you know, if people like Hexes and Nine Shots and that are out there streaming and are successful, why can't I do it? They've got access to the same viewer base. They've got access to the same equipment. Okay, maybe if you haven't got the money in that, but it's still out there for you to buy. You know, what's stopping you from getting on streaming, creating videos, marketing yourself? You know, what's stopping you from being successful? So I agree with that. I guess now then, so that believe it or not is the icebreaker. So we've broke the ice. Now let's talk a little bit about your sort of career, your starting to streaming, all that sort of stuff. So the first question is, why did you start streaming?
Oh, it'll get deep real quick. I'm gonna let you know. We'll get into the nitty gritty right away. So I started because this time last year I was mentally at absolute rock bottom. Like it was bad. I was going to the doctors. They didn't have anything that they could help me with. I say help. It's like I felt like I went to the doctors and I was like, "Hi, yeah, I'm suicidal. What can you do to help me?" And they'd give me a pamphlet and they'd be like, "Call this number. Bye." And I was like, "Well, I actually want you to help me now if you can, you know." And I was assessing my situation. I've got a beautiful little girl. I've got a beautiful wife. And it was a case of I need to find a reason to carry on. I need to find something that's going to keep me happy and productive. And I was like, what do I want to do? Because I work at McDonald's currently. Disclaimer, McDonald's is a fantastic place to work, and to any young person, I would absolutely recommend it. Tons of qualifications and stuff. Like go for it, absolutely. But my career there had ran its course. There was nothing left for me there. There's nothing more I could do. And I was just like, I need something that I want to do. And I was like, what is my dream job? Like, if I could do anything in the world, like I wasn't ruling out fucking astronaut. Like, what do I want to do? You know, what is going to make me happy? And I was like, do you know what? I want to be a content creator. I feel like naturally I'm sort of I'm not someone who believes in destiny or fate, but I think like with my character, I think if there was anything I was born to do, it's probably like entertain. If my wife hates it. Like if we're at the checkout or something and I'll be like chatting to the cashier and I'll just be putting on a show. I'll be acting up and having a laugh, and that's just sort of the way I'm wired. And I was just like, I need to go for this. Like if I don't try, I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life. So in December, my birthday is December the 29th. And I was like, right, anyone who's getting me anything for Christmas or anyone who wants to know what to get me some PC World gift cards, like just any of that. And so my birthday came around just 4 days after Christmas. So, you know, I was quite fortunate to have sort of like a chunk of a little bit of money coming out. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't getting like thousands, but I had enough to go out. I had a PC already. Oh god, it was garbage. it was a toaster. It was awful. But it was enough for me to be able to run League of Legends and stream at like a 2K bit rate. It was enough. So come my birthday, I was like, right, I'm gonna get a webcam and I'm gonna get a second monitor and I'm just gonna go for it. And that was the start of it. It was just a case of I needed something productive, or I don't know if I'd still be here. It was a very, very dark time. Like mental health is. I know you said you spoke about it last week, and I don't want to whip a dead horse, but I needed it. I needed something productive, and I was just like, do you know what? I'm gonna chase my dream. I tweeted out like last night. I was like, people say. I remember seeing on Reddit, someone said becoming a content creator is the new I'm starting a band. Like it's so like people have this thing where you're not gonna make it. And I tweeted out last night. I was like, look, if every single person who was told they aren't gonna make it on Twitch and YouTube quit, Twitch and YouTube would be empty. Everyone's been told that, and people still make it. So why can't that be me? And so yeah, I just grabbed it with both hands and I just went for it, and that was why and how it all started.
Yeah, you know what? I really love this podcast, and the podcast is the one thing that I do now, and it's the one bit of content that I create for me. I don't care about whether there's any viewers in the chat. I don't care about if it gets any listens on Spotify, and I really don't care if no one watches it on YouTube. But I enjoy it because it gives me a chance to learn more about the content creators that are around me and that I speak to. But it also gives the few that do join that insight into, I have never met Robbie in real life. I've never met you in real life. This is the first time me and you have ever spoke. But yet you were here telling me about your mental health problems. Robbie last week spoke about mental health. I spoke last week about mental health, and I will go into that in a second. But I love the fact that it shows people that you can talk about these things.
Absolutely. It's important too as well, man. Yeah, it's so important.
100%. Yeah, like I was, when I started streaming, very, very, very similar. Well, when I came back to streaming anyway, I also was suffering from anxiety and mental health problems, and to the point where, my dad was driving me to work, like we car shared, and there was 2-week period where he would drive me to work because on the way in and on the way home every day, I was having a panic attack in the car, like crying, couldn't breathe, all this. And the same, I went to the doctors and said, I need help, like this is how I'm feeling. And they did the same thing. Oh, here's a booklet. Give these a ring.
So shit, innit? Yeah, it's so bad.
Give you a booklet. Bad. They give me a booklet and went, "I'll give these a ring. They'll help you out." And then they also offered to give me some tablets to pick my mood up and that sort of stuff. And I said, "But I don't want tablets because tablets make me feel better, but it doesn't sort my situation. It doesn't sort the things that have caused me to feel this way." And I dealt with it through speaking to my mum and dad, and ultimately quitting the job that I was in, because that's the main reason why I felt that way. And did what you did, I sat there and thought, right, I hate my job, I hate feeling this way, so I looked at a career path that suited me a little bit more. So it involves speaking to people a lot more, it involves getting out, driving, meeting people, that sort of stuff. But then I also got back into streaming. Streaming was the one thing that I enjoyed doing. Creating content was the one thing I enjoyed doing. And similar to you, it was, if everybody else can succeed and be successful, why can't I? And I'm quite lucky in the fact that ever since I got back into streaming, my mum, my dad, and my lovely girlfriend all support it massively. None of them have ever been, "What the hell are you doing? You're like 22 years old. You need to freaking work on your career and your job." Like, they all get behind it and they support me. And hopefully one day I can give a little back to them for that support in the early days. But it's I just love this show, man. I love the fact that, like I said, you can sit here and come out with that. And I mean, as you was talking about your sort of rock bottom times, the chat's out here putting love hearts in the chat for you. So it's just amazing, man. And but let's kind of move on then. So what do you think is the best part about streaming? So I've pretty much just spoke about mine, the fact that we can sit here, we can talk about things that other people might struggle to, and hopefully they see that as a, what, they did that today, let me give my mate a ring and call him, or so that's my favorite thing about streaming. What's yours?
My favorite thing about streaming, that's a tough one. I think it sounds like such a cliche, but I didn't know this would be the thing coming into it. But I think I'm at a point now with my streaming and the community that we've built, and it's weird now that I have all these people that are there day in and day out now, and are probably going to be lifelong friends at this point.
Yeah.
Who, had I not done this, I would never have known they existed, and they would have never have known I existed. And to have that there, have this community there in the Discord. I can just go in Discord and I can say hello, and there'll be someone to chat to, and we can talk about whatever, and just having that there is great. It's also kind of surreal as well. It's one of those things where coming into it, you don't know if it'll happen. You don't know if you'll ever have a community, or if anyone will ever even care that you go live. But it gets to a point where there are people who care. So someone like me who has always had really bad self-esteem issues, for me to go live and turn around and see the chat with people waiting
Yeah.
to watch me play video games and have a laugh and make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Like I say, it's surreal. There are people that'll take their time out of their day and actively want to watch me whiff shots on Valorant. It's fucking sick.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy. It's crazy, and it's the amount of hard work and at this point, yes, money that have gone into it. It validates everything, and it's that. I think the payoff from it, in one sense, there's the community, which is fantastic. That'd be my wholesome answer, which is true. Don't take away from it. That's true. But also having the validation and people being like, "Hey, Smith, I love watching your stuff." That's fucking sick. I can't put a price on that. It's so good. I love that.
I like that answer because when I want to say about a month ago now, it might have even been closer to the date than that, but I had a very basic Discord that I made myself. There was no bots. There was a few chat channels, very minimal roles and stuff like that. It was just a Discord that I whipped up because everyone has one. Spent more time trying to develop it a little bit, and then one day Diesel, who's one of the mods in my chat, messages me a link to a Discord server called the Stano Army, and I'm like, bro, like, what's this? Click on it. The Discord server is unbelievable. Like, it's the Discord server I've always wanted. I just didn't know how to actually create. He made it for me, and I was just sat there like, bro, what? So that like you said, the money, the time. When people out there actually spend their time now to help you, to help your community, and that it does, like you said, validate the time, the effort, the money that you put into it. That's a great answer. So let's move on. This is kind of like an interview, like a really bad interview, because when they go, well, what's your three strengths and what's your three weaknesses, you know that then just not a good interview because they don't care about your experiences and how you can do the job. But the next question is, what do you think is the worst part about streaming?
The worst part about streaming. I mean, let's be real. I think the thing about streaming, you're always going to get people come into your chat and fucking give you some shit for no good reason. I had a guy yesterday. We slapped him on Rocket League, right? And my friend, fucking Big Fern, he put my link in the chat like an asshole. He put it in the chat in Rocket League, and this guy just comes by and he's like, "You fat as fuck," and I was just like, "Yeah, mate, thanks." And it's one of those things where I'm at a point now where I can brush it off, and I'm just like, "Whatever, bro." I don't give a
So's
fuck.
your mom.
I'm not bothered. I don't know you. Like, it's one of those. To start off with, it'll bother you, but I mean, that's probably like the only real negative, apart from like when you have your days of bad motivation and not feeling too great. That's probably the only thing. It's the internet, innit? You're gonna get trolls. It is what it is. There's no avoiding it. You can be the nicest person in the world, that it's still gonna happen. So I would think it would probably be that. Apart from that, I mean, sometimes the way that I guess I'm wired, the mental health issues definitely still linger. I don't think you ever really get over it.
You just kind of learn
always
to
there.
deal with them a little bit better, don't you?
You can improve it, but there'll always be that. And some days before I go live, I'm just thinking, man, I really don't want to stream today. I'm really not feeling it. But I know that if I ever want to do this full time, which is obviously the dream that I sort of not necessarily have to. No, fuck that. Yeah, you do have to, because why people aren't gonna keep turning up if you're stupidly inconsistent and you're never there. But once I'm live and everyone's in the chat and all the good vibes are flowing, then it feels great. But sometimes you just don't want to. You're just not feeling it, and it can bring you down. It's like it's a battle with yourself as well. There's so many hurdles to overcome with it, and I definitely think you can be your own biggest hurdle a lot of the time. So trying to overcome that, the trolls, but it's so outweighed by the amount of positive stuff that goes with it. Outweighed.
When I used to play like competitive COD and stuff like that, whether it be scrims or whether it be like rank play and COD, occasionally you would absolutely dick slap a team, and then they would join your chat, like all 4 or 5 of them would join your chat, and they'd be just throwing hate at you, you know, oh, you're such a camper, oh, you this, oh, you that, and then obviously it would get a little bit more personal than that and be like, oh, you're fat, oh, you've got a big head, oh, you spot it. And like you said, you know, when I was younger, that's the kind of stuff that put me off streaming for the years that it did, and then I come back 2 years ago. But now I almost like spur them on, because I'm sitting there thinking, you know, I'll just gain an extra 5 viewers from beating these guys. Like, stay around, bro. Like, so as long as it doesn't get too toxic, because obviously you don't want new viewers to come in, see your chat full of swear words, all that. When you get too toxic, I do usually try and spur them on, and usually I've got a few guys in the chat that will kind of like do the same thing to kind of keep them around for a bit. But yeah, that I don't like that about streaming. I think that's probably one of the worst things. I think, like you said as well, one of the other bad things, which isn't necessarily about streaming, but it's more so about like yourself, like you said, with battling. And some days it'll be 7:30 when I stream, and I'll go, just can't be bothered today. Like, I'm tired. I've had a bad day at work, like whatever. And yeah, sometimes, like you said, you do have to just grit your teeth, put on that show, hit the live button, and just get your stream out. And once you get into it, it usually gets your mood up a bit when you, like you said, you see people waiting around for you, getting involved. But I also like, although I'm very, very, very heavy at the moment, heavier than I've ever been in my life, through just lockdown and bad eating and not being able to go to the gym and that sort of stuff, I do follow a lot of fitness pages. And the one thing that I read the other day, and it can go to anything in life that you're grinding for, whether it be work, whether it be streaming, whether it be fitness, was that don't just rely on like motivation to make you do something. There was like, you need to get a bit of self-discipline as well. So it's 7:30, I'm live. Don't rely on you being motivated at 7:30 to go live. And when I read that, I thought, you know what, that's so true to have to get that discipline in.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a difficult thing, and I think there are people who will push through that, and then there's people who won't. And the people who won't push through it are the ones that probably aren't made for doing this. And again, it sucks to hear, but that's the truth of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, well, I know when me and you discussed the podcast on DMs, the one thing that we both sort of agreed that we're spending more time doing now, like we touched on earlier, is YouTube. So I went onto your YouTube channel, done a little looking around. Obviously, you made Valorant videos. You're starting to make Call of Duty videos now. And the one thing that you mentioned you were going to bring back is your Agony Uncle, Agony Uncle series. So talk to me a little bit about that. How does that work? Is it something you've done before?
So I sort of naturally take on a very sort of fatherly role with people. It's like a running joke. There's multiple people in my chat who just call me dad at this point. That's just the way it is at work with the lads, with the girls at work. I'm either like a big brother to them or like a dad. It's just kind of the way I work. And so I was sat there. I was like, what is nobody doing? What is something that I haven't seen anyone do? And I was like, I could run like an advice thing, but at the same time, it's not 100% serious. Like, if you want a serious answer, I can give you a serious answer.
Yeah.
But someone could write in and let's take something from the stream as an example. I used in the Discord when I was asking people for submissions for the upcoming episode. The example I used was like, Smith, I'm having difficulty balancing work life and streaming. What advice would you give? And then I'll give them an answer off that, and that's the general sort of gist of the show. But whatever sort of things you want to ask, you can ask. And so it basically runs like that. Like I say, I'll give you a serious answer if you want a serious answer, but also expect me to have a laugh. I don't think anyone wants to sit there and just watch me just fucking dish out advice all day. At the end of the day, there is a comedy element to it, and I will definitely take daft questions and run with those. Someone asked me like what they thought one of their dreams meant, where they were like underwater and stuff, and we speak about that kind of stuff. People can also submit anonymously if they want to, like if they don't want their name to be mentioned. I think a lot of the time, what gets people so active in these kind of things is the thought of being featured in a video. So most people will want to just have their name attached to it. But I do also give people the option, if you maybe don't want your name attached to something, but you do still want the input, you can message me privately or something like that. And you can submit something that way. But it was just a case of it suited my sort of personality and the way I think I work and think. And it was just something that I haven't seen anybody else doing. So yeah, I just went for that. I did my first episode. It was strange. The first episode I did, people were like, this is great. Give us another one. This is fantastic. And then I did another one, and it got like half the views. And I was like, you guys said you wanted another one. So where is everyone? And it's the difficult thing. That's one of the difficult things with YouTube. But I think now I'm at a point where I've got a bit more of an audience. There's a few more regulars who can sort of submit a bigger variety of questions, and I think for that reason now's probably the time to try and bring it back. It'll either work or it won't, but I'm gonna try it and we'll see what happens with it.
Okay, that's cool. Let me just quickly check my schedule. Camo grind. So I noticed that you uploaded one of your videos going for the AK-47 gold. With Call of Duty, what do you think about the camo grind? Do you think it's too long? Do you think it's good? What do you think?
So I've done it in the Black Ops games that it's been in. I think I've been and got Dark Matter in all of the ones it's been in. In those games, and oh god, we're gonna loop back round to it. It's impossible not to. But god, fucking skill-based matchmaking, man. Like it's so tight. Like there's no give. So in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, you'd get these lobbies where you could just fucking absolutely rail some kids. Like it'd just go. You'd absolutely just be headshotting everyone. People wouldn't be shooting back. You just get these headshots like free. But now you do have to be on the edge of your seat at all times. You got to be like full sweat mode, and it definitely takes some of the fun out of it. There's this Call of Duty, man. It's got some fucking issues. Score streaks in particular, like they're not even streaks. They just persist through everything. And you'll get killed by a missile. Then you'll get napalmed off spawn. Then there's another missile. Then there's a helicopter. Whilst you're trying to shoot people in the head, and you can't do it, and it takes a lot of the fun out of it. And I'll push through it. I'm gonna keep going for it. We'll see where it ends up. I might do it, I might not, but in the meantime, it's my goal. But yeah, I think the skill-based matchmaking has definitely taken a good chunk of the fun out of it. But yeah, I'll keep trying. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's the goal.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? I just think the skill-based matchmaking. I think it's fine. It's fine to have it, but God, loosen the strings a little bit. Fuck me.
Yeah, I think this is my thing with Call of Duty, and I've said this for years. I think skill-based matchmaking's been in since Black Ops 2, but it was tuned down so low that you wouldn't really know there was a change. You could know there was a change initially, but everyone that's played it for that long has kind of got used to the kind of lobbies. You get lobbies that you'll absolutely get smacked in, and you'll get lobbies that you'll absolutely smack kids in. Like that's how Call of Duty's always been. I think the last 2 years they've just tuned that up so much now to the point where every single game is like a rank play game. Like you are on the edge of your seat, and like you say, if you're grinding camos, it's not too bad when you're using assault rifles and SMGs, because you're not really having to change your play style too much to get the camos done. But I think when it comes to things like pistols, you're playing competitive games against kids that are, got an MP5 gold, and that's the only gun they've used. They don't want to use any other gun because that's the gun that slaps. And you're now running around with a pistol trying to kill them off head glitches and all. It's
mate, we've got to do knives. We've got to do rocket launchers. Some of the challenges for rocket launchers, man. Like 3 kills in one life with a rocket launcher. When I've got kids like jumping around corners with MP5s and drop shot. Like, are you mad? How? I don't know, mate. I try not to think about it.
It's one of them where I think you are going to have to play hardcore modes as much as everyone that plays core doesn't necessarily like it because it's so difficult to stay alive in. I know that myself and Ty, who've been grinding the camos together, we all are already now playing hardcore, and I've got ARs up quicker than I have done before. I've literally just finished getting the Krieg Gold yesterday, and it was the first gun where I was actually all leveled out, all the camos done, just waiting to get my double kills at level 50. I've not done that with the other 2 ARs, so hardcore's definitely helping, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to any of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if hardcore helps, it helps. But God, I wish I wouldn't have to resort to that. You know,
Yeah,
I wish I could just play the modes I want to play and be able to just have fun and sit back. I think the beauty of Call of Duty was that it was casual, and you could, with COD 4, you could just turn it on aimlessly, just like brainlessly shoot at people till it's time to go to bed. Now that's not the case. Everything, like you say, it feels like it's ranked, and that shouldn't be the case, because then what's the point in the ranked playlist?
Yeah, and
if that's where you go to sweat, but now I'm sweating in public matches, why go to ranked and sweat harder? It's I don't know. I feel like the only good thing for me that's going to come from ranked is that it might take some of those more sweaty people and put them in a sweatier place, and then I can have maybe a more relaxed experience. Maybe. Who knows?
Since Black Ops 2, I was going to come on to this point, and I completely sidetracked my own point, but I think with Call of Duty and any other game that has a rank play element and a public match element, the public matches should completely remove SBMM. It shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be there. Rank play should then become a staple. If you want to go and play competitive matches, you want to be challenged, you want to do all that stuff, you want to get on a ranking system like Valorant has or Call of Duty has had in the past, that should be there as a staple point in the game, just as every Treyarch game has a zombies, just as every game has a campaign. Rank play should be there with multiplayer, so you should have... Because the thing that I think about as well, like we touched on earlier with mental health and stuff, one of the things for me, and is still now, if I have a bad day at work or I'm stressed with life, jumping on Call of Duty for an hour, my mind's completely now forgotten about whatever it was that was stressing me out. For that hour that I'm playing, all I'm thinking about is who I'm talking to, what I'm playing. If you're then getting stressed out, getting annoyed, you're raging because you can't just sit back, chill with a drink next to you. If you can't do that, then you're losing a big amount of people there that do want to play your game but aren't enjoying it because they can't just chill. And
absolutely.
I think that's something they need to change. But we're now going to move on to open ourselves up to some questions from the lovely chat that have been here since the start of the show. For those guys that are joined in late, didn't see the initial introduction, I do want to apologise. Hang on 2 seconds. I am... Right. Yeah. That happened right midway through your point, and I'm there like, bruh, like I can see my mum. I can see my mum's head like peeking around the door, and I'm like, bruh, like don't come in. But anyway, here we are. So so I just want to say to the chat, I appreciate you all being here. I did mention at the start that these shows do run slightly different to my usual stream, so I don't read every message. I don't interact with you guys as much as I would do in a normal stream, but what I do is have this element now where you guys can get your questions in. And I do just want to say a big thank you to Diesel for the gifted and Ash for the resub. 14 months, let's go. Geo Jack, Get Shrek, Connor, appreciate all the follows, and then obviously Smith, appreciate the host as well. Guys, welcome in. I hope you're all having a lovely Sunday. Get your questions in the chat right now. The first question that came in when I asked chat to get them in was, if both of you could go back to when you started streaming and could change one thing, what would it be and why? And that question came in from Connor O'Brien.
It's going to be a super sort of, I don't know if it's going to be a cliche, but I think there probably wouldn't be that much that I would change from back then, because I think that initial phase is so important for people like us that don't, at least the people who don't already have a platform. So what I mean by that is let's take, for example, Summit and XQC, to the biggest streamers on the platform now. They had an audience from their competitive days sort of carry over, so they had like a bit of a foothold already, whereas people like myself and you might not necessarily have that. So I think when you're initially learning, over those first few months, for some people it can be years, some people it's a matter of days. learning those initial lessons are so important. So I wouldn't want to go back and skip that
Yeah.
because I learned a lot from those first few weeks and months, and I wouldn't like to skip past that. I think most people who I've seen come into streaming and have that initial like helping hand and have got to affiliate with next to no effort because it was almost like gifted to them.
Yeah.
Almost always just stop streaming because it's not what they thought it was. When they have a bad day, they're like, well, I started this with 20 viewers. Where are they all now? But they haven't learned how to build up that relationship and that initial interaction. So I wouldn't want to change it. I feel like it was valuable to a point of, you know, being immeasurable. It was so important. I wouldn't want to skip past that. So yeah, I don't think I would change anything.
I think for me, I always say the same question or the same answer to this question. I've been asked it a few times. If I look back, like you said, to when I came back 2 years ago ish, I wouldn't change a thing. I've enjoyed the grind. I've enjoyed the process. I've learned a lot from how to build communities to how to network with people properly and how to market myself. So I wouldn't change anything from that. If I look back to when I first made content when I was 13 and it was YouTube videos, the biggest thing that I wish I'd done was just stuck with it. I let people calling me names, you know, whether you want to go as far as bullying, let's put it in that bracket. I let people bully me out of creating content and didn't do anything for then like 8 years. And if I would have continued that, I would have had 10 years of making content now. And back then, you know, the Machinima Respawn was still a thing, uploading videos of Nightshot and Scump and Hex and, you know, all those guys who had just got into it were doing it then. So I was, although a lot younger than them, I was making content with, you know, at the same time that they were just coming up. And there wasn't that many other people there, you know, not like there is today where anyone with an Xbox or a PlayStation can go live, boom, that's another viewer that or another streamer that you've now got to try and compete with. It was, if you invested the money in the equipment, you could stream. That was it. So it was so much, I use the phrase very lightly, but it was easier then to grow.
100%. I very much doubt that anyone would even judge you for saying that. There's millions, literally millions of people trying to do this. Back then there was maybe a handful, and to sort of get your foot in the door that early, I'm not going to say you were guaranteed success, but to have jumped on it then, like most of the big content creators, when anyone asks them that, you'll hear them say that one of the biggest factors of their success was timing, that they just went at the right moment. And I don't think anyone would judge you for saying that. I think that's pretty much just indisputable fact. And it's definitely harder to start now. Like people say, create something unique. How? Everything's been done and done again, done in different variations, done a few more times. And how you do something unique now, you might be able to put, like, I don't know, the most unique thing about any of your content is going to be yourself. Because there is only one of you. It sounds corny, but there is only one of you, and that is going to be the most unique thing about it. But yeah, like to have started back then, it was free real estate. Nothing had been done.
And that's why that's the one thing that I wish I would have changed. I would change is that my initial entry into YouTube and streaming, I wish I just would have stuck it out. I wish that I would have just not given up and not let people call me names. And because, you know, I'm for the 2 years that I've sort of made coming back into and only streaming Call of Duty, which is a super saturated market to grow in. But I don't want to have to play these, you know, arcade games that I don't necessarily enjoy. I don't want to put on this show that I enjoy playing these games just to try and grow a community. Like, I want my growth to be natural, and I don't want to play other games just to grow a community, because those people initially are only there to watch that game. So the minute that you then go back to streaming the game that you want to stream, not Call of Duty, if those people aren't now watching for you, that's time wasted. That's people that are just going to go back to watching that game. So yeah, I would just wish I would have just stuck with it. The next question, if I quickly find it, I remember the question. I just want to find out who it was that asked it. Okay, so Heathcote asked, who's both of your top streamer? So make that question out as you want.
Number one streamer. Let me tell you what. Let me check who I'm following, because I always go to answer a question like this, and it sounds stupid, but I forget who I even watch until I look.
Oh, while
My
you're
number
looking,
one.
I'll run it with mine. So I actually have two for two very different reasons. The first one that I always say is Nadeshot. Nadeshot was one of the first people that I watched as a competitive player, and then obviously when he got into streaming, and he was one of my biggest inspirations to getting into it. You know, a guy that had worked at McDonald's, you know, now quit that job, working on his competitive career. Then now obviously mega successful, owning 100 Thieves, which, you know, has got some of the biggest investors in esports history, or at least in their own markets. People like Drake, people like Scooter Braun, you know, these people are now investing in him and his belief and dream. So that's a big inspiration and one of my top streamers. On top, the next person after that, I don't know whether you watch him, but I'm sure you've heard of him, is Stallion. Stallion at the moment is by far one of my favorite streamers, because he did what I said I didn't want to do. He streamed a lot of arcade games and variety stream for a while. Now he's playing Call of Duty. His content is so, if you're into, you know, the win streak grind and you're into watching people pub stomp and all that sort of stuff, I don't think there's anybody else on Twitch that I'd rather watch doing that than him. You know, I struggle now with my chat to read every message mid gunfight, you know, while slapping on people midway through a 6-piece. You know, Stallion might as well look the other way, and he's still reading chat, like every message, and he's sitting on average 400 viewers. His chat's flying. He doesn't miss a single message. And when I see that from a streamer, and I call this guy out all the time, and I hope one day I get the opportunity to speak to him on the podcast. But Wars really bugs me, because the one thing he doesn't do is interact with his chat. You know, he'll get subs, he'll get followers. I get that followers, if you're that big, you know, that happen hundreds of times this stream, so maybe you don't shout those out. But the subs, that's people giving you money. You know, without them giving you that money, you're not sitting there doing this full time. So at least say thank you. And he doesn't interact with the chat at all, or at least I raided his stream the other day, and I think it might have been after one of the Omen streams. So I was sitting on about 90 viewers, and I jumped in with a raid, didn't even flinch, he popped up in his chat, didn't even flinch, didn't say thank you, and I just sat there thinking, you know what, like, inside of me there was a lot of jealousy, because me or you, with the following that he's got, would utilize that so much more than what he's currently doing. And I just thought, oh, you know what, I can't see this. So Stallion and Nadeshot are my two.
I think mine are very generic answers, but if we're talking our favorites, there's two people that stand out to me, and again for very different reasons. I think the most entertaining person that I watch is Tyler One. I know some people don't like him for the way he's behaved in the past, and I get that, but a lot's changed, but he's just so entertaining. That's what it is. Like, you know that you can tune in and you're gonna see some stupid shit and you're gonna have a laugh. And that's valuable. Again, that's one of those people where the chat is moving so fast that it would just be impossible. There's no way that you can read messages from 40,000 people at a time. It can't be done. There's no way and you couldn't possibly expect it. But I know that if I'm tuning into one of those streams, I'm going to be entertained. So I'm absolutely, Tyler One is probably my favorite person to sit and watch.
Okay.
And then I have a tremendous amount of respect for Summit. I think the way he carries himself, I think the way he acts with his community, the way that he voices his opinions, which I know that he gets shot down a lot for voicing his opinions, and you shouldn't be talking about this. Like, shut the fuck up. Why not? Like, he's a person the same as the rest of us. Like, let big streamers with a platform voice their opinions. That just because they're in the public eye, I don't think you should have to keep quiet on everything. That's ridiculous. It's the opposite, if anything. But I respect the way he carries himself in all of his ventures, the way he goes about everything, I don't think I've seen him put a foot wrong. And so yeah, it's something I have a tremendous amount of respect for. But Tyler One, I could sit and watch 8-9 hours at a time if I wasn't so unbelievably busy with videos and streaming and Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, working and everything else. I just don't get a second to breathe, honestly. So
it is crazy. I think one of the things that me and Robbie spoke about the other day, you can say what you want, but streaming and YouTube and just content creation in general is a grind, no matter what. And the thing that I always say is, work is a grind. When you wake up at 6 o'clock to be in for work for 9 because you got to drive to work and you're there till 5 and get back, and that's a grind. That's you working. So if most people that are streaming want to do it full time, and if you don't, then you stream an hour here and there, and like you said, it's ridiculously inconsistent, and you might grow, but you're not bothered by that. The people that are the people that stream consistently. And if you want to do that, it's a grind. You need to. It's a job, so therefore it's a grind. But I've just been quickly flicking through the chat, and one of the things that Curran was talking about was saying that initially, when you do start out and you're smaller and you haven't got that big following, that's when you kind of find the people in the community that, like you said earlier, that are going to support you, that potentially turn out to be lifelong friends, and all that sort of stuff. And the other thing that they were also talking about as well is that when I started streaming, having a face cam wasn't a norm. You didn't need a face cam. You needed to have decent looking gameplay and potentially a good audio mic, whatever, to go over the top. Nowadays, it is very much expected that you need a webcam, you need a good microphone, you need some form. I mean, I haven't got one yet, but when I move into my new house, I will. But you've got a very good backdrop behind you. Your PC looks sick in on the side of your webcam, and those are the kind of things that you need to now have in order to differentiate you from that standard generic streamer who just stream every day. So let's take some more questions. We are kind of coming to a roundup, but I'm just checking I haven't missed any. Tyler One is a funny guy. Any more questions? Okay, so a question coming from Curran. What do you think is next for you? And that can be anything from streaming or content or to development and professionalism.
So I currently right now I'm messing with my schedule quite a bit, which potentially could be detrimental, but I think it's also quite important in the long run.
Yeah.
Because I still consider myself new to this. I've not been streaming for a year yet, so I'm still very much new to this, and I think I'd rather do this now whilst the day is still young with streaming.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find the balance between social medias and YouTube and Twitch. So I'm currently in the middle of tossing around my schedule a bit, and I'm trying to invest more time into YouTube to try and get the ball rolling with that, because it's very much like right now my Twitch feeds my YouTube views. That's where all my Twitch what's the word? I don't know. Well, I'll just say audience. I can't remember what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But my Twitch audience goes to YouTube and watches those. What I need to do is I need to get my YouTube to start feeding back. So essentially they start feeding each other, and it becomes this big snowball effect.
Yeah.
Right now, the traffic, that's the word I was after. Traffic. The traffic is very much one directional. I need to get it so they start feeding each other, and then it becomes a snowball effect. And I think with content creation, it very much is a snowball effect.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember at the start, and I'll go back to it briefly because I think this is important for anyone who's trying to do this. The start is the slowest it's ever going to be. It will never be slower than those first few weeks, months, in some cases for people, years. But once the ball starts rolling, it'll roll quicker, and then before you know it, it'll go. You just got to get to that point where you can just let go and it will go, and you just have to do your thing, keep doing it, and don't fuck up. So I'm very much trying to get to that point when they can start feeding each other. I'm trying to put more time into YouTube now, work on my social medias, be active on there, and trying to land some fucking partnerships. I won't go into it too much because I don't want to be nagging any companies or anything.
Yeah.
But I'm working pretty hard to get a partnership that I really, really want. Um, and yeah, it's just one of those. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think that is very much a big milestone that I'm yet to hit. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I definitely understand if a company or a brand would be apprehensive to work with someone who hasn't even been streaming for a year yet, because
Yeah.
I think it's still very much at a point where I could decide I don't want to do this. That's not going to
Yeah.
happen, but I can see from the outside looking in where they're like, this guy's not been
The
streaming for
risk.
too long just yet.
Yeah.
Maybe he might still drop out, you know. So I understand that, but I'll keep going, and I think I would like to think that eventually that's going to happen. So yeah, it's a case of getting a schedule, getting Twitch and YouTube to feed each other, and get some partnerships with companies that I would love to work with, try and get them rolling. So I think that for me is what's next.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I've already started doing it, but I was the one thing that I hate that I don't do is YouTube. You know, I started off as a YouTuber when I was 13. When I came back 2 years ago, I was making classic videos. Warzone came out, I was furloughed. I've dropped some of the best content of it because I had all day to work on it. Dropped some of the best videos, spent the most time marketing them, putting them out there. Actually invested money on Facebook to promote these to a wider audience. And you know, I've got a couple of YouTube videos from March that are now sitting on 32,000 views. For someone who has less than 700 subs, that's ridiculous numbers. So you know, I really want to start spending more time with YouTube, and that's, like I said, one thing. Cold War came out 2 weeks ago, and I think I'm averaging about 3 videos a week from then. So that's one thing that I want to keep doing. And yeah, I guess just trying to spend more time networking as well with people. I think that's the one thing that I don't do. Or you know, for someone, I don't know if you've heard of him, but someone he's also on the come up now is someone called Raiju Robbie. Obviously I had him on the podcast last week. He actually started streaming in lockdown. It was the one thing that he kind of had nothing else to do. He's furloughed, he can't go, he's an electrician, so he can't go around people's houses. His girlfriend supported him, got into streaming, and I helped him out a lot with setting up his stream and, you know, telling him how he should arrange his graphics and basically how to do it properly and professionally rather than just sort of bundling your way through it. And now seeing him do really well, like I just love the fact that, you know, we can sort of help each other and whatever. And the reason why I'm saying this is one of the questions in the chat from Declan. I guess it's kind of a group of questions, but we'll obviously debate it. He said, why don't streamers work with each other more often? Why don't they work together to make more captivating content? Do you think this is through like them being selfish, through them being jealous?
So I think for me personally, I have done things where I've worked with streamers before. For me, my content, and if I was answering this question about myself, I would say that my one of the draws to my channel is that I do read my chat a lot, like a lot more than most people would. And so when you then get in a group where there are people talking all the time, that interaction can be lost, because now you're playing the game. You've gone from playing the game and reading the chat to now you're playing the game, reading the chat, and having this active conversation and interaction with somebody in the game as well. And then the plate spinning starts to get out of control. At least for me, and maybe it's something that I would need to work on and try and find that balance, but I find that very difficult. And I like to keep my content very much sort of the game, the chat, me. I think jealousy with some people, it goes to a thing where you have to talk about individual cases, which obviously I'm not on it to put anybody on blast, and I wouldn't do that anyway. But you would have to look at people as individuals and be like, well, some people, I know jealousy does run. I think jealousy in this business, it's gonna happen. It's a case of how do you deal with it. Like one of my friends landed a sneak partnership the other day. Was I jealous? Fucking absolutely. I told him up front. I was like, man, I'm jealous as fuck, but congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you gonna deal with that jealousy? It's okay to be jealous. Of course,
100%.
I'm jealous of Summit making tens of
Millions.
thousands of dollars a stream. Fuck yeah, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, I'm jealous. But that's not the kind of jealousy that's gonna make me not click go live. It's fine to be jealous, but if that's going to stop you from making content, then yeah, it's absolutely it's the wrong business for you. But in terms of collabing with streamers, I think you can just you can get lost in that when you're playing with people, and maybe the chat will get ignored. Maybe you might miss some follows or something, which I very much don't like doing.
Yeah.
So for that reason, that's why. And I don't think obviously that wasn't aimed directly at me. I'm just answering this as if it was me. That's why I personally don't do all that much collaboration stuff. I think a lot of networking with other content creators, a lot of it is just being in chat, talking to them, building that relationship and that friendship that way. And then obviously you can always raid and host each other. There's a multitude of other ways that you can support other content creators that don't necessarily involve you having these where you're running through co-op games or whatever together.
Yeah.
And plus, where you might like someone's content and you might like hanging out in their stream, sometimes personalities just don't mix too well. Sometimes one might overshadow the other. One might be a bit more outgoing and a bit more vocal. Then before you know it, you've got a content creator who, they get on great, but one of them is being completely overshadowed. So there's a ton. There's a load of different factors that can play into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's always just been that I personally don't want to lose the interaction with chat. But yeah, that's just me on it. And I think you'd probably that's a question that you would get a shitload of different answers from whoever you ask. It'd be different from everybody, but that would be mine.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think the part about the jealousy thing, another company that I'm looking to try and get a partnership with, or sponsorship, whatever you want to call it, is Sizzle Popcorn. I guess you've probably seen the tweets and stuff. I've actually tried pretty much every one of their flavors. They are genuinely insane. And this isn't. I would never promote something. I would never want a partnership with something if I truly didn't believe that what they make is fantastic. And Zazzle, who's a streamer that I watch, a Call of Duty streamer that I watch, last week, out of nowhere, boom, Sizzle Popcorn partnership announced. Like you said, I was sat there going, fucking hell, how's he's got money to do that? And he's done it because his content is amazing, his stream is amazing, his community is really supportive. But yeah, in that moment when you see that, you are jealous of that success that they've got that you haven't. But or you use that jealousy as a motivational tool to be like, you know what, he got that makes me want it even more now. I'm not far off what he does.
Absolutely. When going back to the sneak thing, when I saw that lad got that partnership, and I hate to think that I did sort of drop off with pushing for the sneak thing. I absolutely did. I dropped off because it got to a point where I was like, man, I feel like I'm kind of nagging Sneak at this point. Maybe I need to lay off a little bit. But I saw that guy get that partnership and I was like, nah, fuck this. I want this too much. I'm going for it. And then the next day I made, I don't know if you saw it, the video that I did for Sneak. Bro, that shit banged. And I was so happy with how that came off. It was really good, and I was really glad that I went for it. That got it got a ton of views. Let me take. I've got 12 notifications on Twitter. What's going on? It got 831 views, 62 likes, 14 retweets. Not only that, Sneak followed me on Twitter for that.
Oh, let's go.
So exactly. So it's like, just go for it. Just go for it. And it's being jealous is okay. It's we're human. Do you know what I mean? No one's robotic.
If
it's
you
okay,
want
just
something,
don't be a dick about it.
Yeah, I think if you want something so much and you've seen other people get it, if you don't get jealous, then you're weird. You're do you know what I mean? If you want that Sneak partnership that much, or that Sizzle partnership that much, and you're grinding, you're actively tweeting every morning saying, good morning, Sizzle Popcorn, I hope you're great. And then boom, someone out of nowhere that you don't even watch, don't even know about, boom, he gets the partnership and you're sat there going, what the hell am I doing wrong? I think it's natural to feel that way. But like you said, if you're the type of person that's going to see that and go, you know what, I've been grinding for years, I've been tweeting for months about getting this partnership, it's just not happened, and then you give up, then streaming and partnerships and that sort of stuff is not for you. Like this it happens so much. But I also think that you know, one of the other questions that we've had in the chat, let me just find it because I just read it and now I'm thinking oh, could it be a selfish or jealous thing? So it's the same question, but I've made some videos where I've collabed with other streamers and stuff over the years. I feel like sometimes as well that you have to be careful with the people that you collaborate with, because I feel like sometimes, especially with this industry and with gaming and streaming and content creation, is that there's so many people out there that don't want to play with you. They don't want to speak to you when you're sitting on an average of 3 viewers, when you haven't got that many followers. The minute that you hit 1K followers, the minute that you've got a stream on 20 viewers, boom, they're in. Yo, let me come and play with you. Let me get. And it's like, you only now want to speak to me because you want to collaborate with me so that my audience becomes your audience.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if you truly get on with people behind the scenes that are content creators, you know, go for it. You can trust that person. You know, I would happily make a video with Ragey Robbie, with you, with anyone else that knows me or that I speak to outside of streaming. I would happily make videos with them, but I think you have to be careful of those people that you have spoke to that have shot you down initially and now are messaging you saying, "Come on, let's make that video then."
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this is a bit of a business. Well, a bit of a business. It's a business. And sometimes you do have to look at, if you're taking time out of your schedule and you want to do this full time, is working with someone going to be beneficial for you? And do you know what? It's going to sound, it might sound, it's not necessarily snaky, but it's investment of time. And if we're going to do this full time, you can't really waste it, because
100%.
like I say, I work full time. I have a wife, I have a child. I'm trying to do my social medias, YouTube and Twitch. I don't have too much free time to be sort of throwing away. So it gets to a point where, is it going to be worth me investing time to work with someone? And you have to sort of think, what am I going to get from this? It's okay doing people favors and helping them. Absolutely do that. But you can't spend all your time doing people favors. It got to a point where, like, I was helping people set up their streams when they were starting. Man, I must have helped like double-digit amount of people get started with their streams. Like, I'll make you overlays. Yeah, let me that shit you can download where you can like control someone else's PC. I was like, let's download that. I'll set up everything for you. It'll take half an hour. Bang, you're good to go. I did that for loads of people. Made overlays, got them all started, raided them, sent viewers their way.
Yeah.
For them to just stop streaming. And it got to a point where I was like, bro, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not, because like, once bitten, twice shy, bro. Like, I've helped so many people get started for them to just stop. And it's at a point now where I'm just like, yeah, I'm just not doing that anymore. And now I probably would not only, but I would definitely try to collaborate with people that I see a positive return for me, because I want to do this full time. Do you know what I mean? Do I go to Mackey's and work for free? Absolutely not, because I'm there to gain something, the same way I am with this. I don't think that would, I would like to think that people would understand that doesn't make me a bad person. I'm just trying to do this full time, and I have to do what I have to do
100%
to get there. You know, I can't just.
And that's,
I'd love to collaborate with everyone in the world. That'd be fantastic. Realistically, it's also impossible. So
I think that's that last point that you touched on there. I think that's one of the biggest things for me, is that as of when I first started streaming for the first year, you know, I never asked for subs. I never asked for donos. I mean, I still don't ask for donations. Those are completely loved, but not something that I'm sitting here going, oh yeah, send me all your money. But I only ever ask people to follow. Just follow, tune in as and when you can, and I'm happy. Like I said, since sort of November, December, where I was fed up with the job, I was fed up working for somebody else's dream, basically. You know, they're sitting there with a cigar in Cuba, stacking the money that I'm out here grafting for on. Probably you never really get paid what you truly think you're worth. And it was at that point when I thought, right, I need to somehow start trying to monetize the stream, because this is what I want to do full time. I want to be able to support my family. I want to be able to, you know, pay my mortgage early and all that sort of stuff. So now, yeah, like I do have a sub goal that I like to try and hit, and I'm asking people for their Twitch primes and all that sort of stuff, because it's a business. One day I want this to be my job.
Yeah.
For it to be your job, you need to get paid. So
absolutely. It's I think for streamers, new ones and big ones, it's considered extremely taboo for us to ever talk about money. That being said, I've had people come into my chat and they're like, how much do you make off Twitch?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you. What the fuck? No. If
Yeah.
you want it that bad, go back and watch the VODs and do the math. Like, you could figure it out
Yeah.
that way. But I'm not going to tell you how much I make. But for people talking about money, it is very, very taboo. And no, don't sit there begging subs like you do see some streamers do. Like, some people do that. Some people, you know, will sit there and be like, hey, for donations of this much, I'll do this. And it's like there's a time and a place for it, where with obviously like a subathon or whatever, that's an event, that's different.
The worst one
don't beg it and it'll come naturally. But like, yeah, we're gonna, if we're gonna do this full time, we're gonna need subs and things like that. So yeah, go on, you're about to say.
I was gonna say the worst one that I've ever seen, and I mean he's in the chat now, and I'm not blasting him because it worked for him, but I love the fact that he was successful, he was grinding and all that sort of stuff. He hit his affiliate and all that, so it's not, I'm not gonna name him, but he will know who he is. He used to have like a donation goal, and all stream he would talk about, I need you to sub, I need you to donate, because if you don't, I can't afford my electricity bill at uni, I can't afford my food at uni, if you don't donate I won't eat. And he used to almost like guilt trip people into that donation, into that sub. I mean, he earned more than I've ever earned in a month on Switch within the first 6 months of him streaming, which is amazing, because he's done that. But ethically, the way that he did it, I just didn't agree with. But as I said, he put the work in. He was grinding 8 to 9 hours a day. He did deserve the money that he earned, but the way he went about doing it was different. Yeah. Okay, right. Wow, I'm just quickly checking. I think I did miss some questions. We basically took, Heathcote did ask what's next to help build your streams, but we pretty much spoke about that off the first question. The one question that I did miss was Connor O'Brien, and he said, how important do you think having an active social media? I am also very wary that this usually lasts an hour and we are running in, so this will be the last question.
Okay, no problem.
How important do you think having an active social media is to help stream growth?
I think there's two ways you can look about it. Do you need it? Is it absolutely necessary for your survival on Twitch? No, I don't think it is. I think good content and consistency you could probably get by on Twitch for. Would I recommend it? Absolutely, because when you get on stream, and I think any honest, truthful streamer would agree with this. We have a streamer mode. When we get in front of the camera, we have a mode. That's not necessarily a persona, but your thought processes will change. Your mannerisms will change. For example, do any of us pick our nose on cam on stream? Probably not. When the camera's off, do we? Probably yes. Exactly, right? So things like that change. And there is that sort of streamer mode. Now what happens with things like Twitter and Instagram is that people get a look into you as a person. So people can message me on Twitter and I can respond to them. Some people love that. You know, they get not necessarily just for me, but for bigger streamers, just having that actual interaction, it takes away from you being this screen on Twitch.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you are this actual real person. And that matters. That has its value. I don't think that's absolutely 100% vital to your survival on the platform, but I think it has a place, and I would say that it's important if you want to form real friendships and connections. Also, Twitter and things like that, very important for things like for partnerships and businesses. It's just another way to get your name out there. So I recommend it. I don't think it's absolutely vital, but it's definitely helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the biggest thing I had when I had at the start of the year, myself, Curran, and Captain Taylor had a podcast that we posted together called the Pod. And it kind of fell on its face because we all didn't like Modern Warfare at the time. A few of us, me and Aaron started playing Fortnite because that's what we enjoyed. That's where we had made better content. Curran kept playing Call of Duty, but because we weren't active in the scene anymore, couldn't get guests on. But the point I'm trying to make is that with content and that sort of stuff, it was like we got to this point where no matter how we were kind of relying on each other, and we were relying, and no one would take the ownership of the podcast. And yeah, it was definitely I'm completely forgetting what I'm trying to say here. Let me reset. Yeah, active social media, that was the one that I was trying to say. But one of the best things that we did was we kept active. We'd have 2 weeks of the podcast, then nothing, and then we'd have a podcast, then nothing for 3 months, and then we'd have another one. But the thing that we did was we kept people updated through the week on Twitter, on YouTube, on various other platforms. And on that podcast, we had Stallion on, and Stallion came on and he said the biggest advice that he gives to people that's not the generic, stay consistent, have a schedule, spend money on your grades. The thing that he said is that if you're streaming for 4 hours a stream, guaranteed there's going to be clips in there that you can put on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. If you're not utilizing those other platforms to put that content on, then you're not doing yourself any justice. And when he said that, like, it was like, okay, I need to start doing this now, because like I said, I'd uploaded YouTube videos and I'd streamed, but I'd always use Instagram, my own, catching up with my mates and posting photos of my own life. Never really thought, oh yeah, I should post my YouTube clips on here as well. And when he said it, I thought, you know what, that's definitely one thing that I think everyone should. It doesn't, you're not, like you said, it's not going to completely kill you off if you don't do that, or because some people just don't have the time. But it's definitely going to aid your success if you are able to put those clips on these other social medias.
It just becomes difficult because it's another thing where your time's going, you know, like now you've gone from you might originally just be streaming and working. All of a sudden you're streaming, working, and now you're doing YouTube, which is recorded. Oh God, YouTube. Fuck you, YouTube. YouTube is recording, it's editing, rendering, thumbnail, upload. YouTube has a lot. So now you're doing that. Then you're like, right, I should also do Twitter. So now you're doing Twitter as well. If I'm doing Twitter, I might as well do Instagram. Now you're doing Instagram too. And then you're like, oh, well, TikTok's doing more. So now you're doing TikTok. Now you've got work, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
Before you know it, like, there's so many things for you to try and juggle. Yeah. The best thing you can do, and I can't thank Connor Oberon in chat enough for this. Connor, I was mentioning to him, I was like, man, this is so hard. I have so much to do. Straight away volunteered. He was like, I'll help you get clips for TikTok. That night, this dude's up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching tutorials to learn to start editing videos for me the next day, and just take some of that weight off my shoulders.
Wow.
Because it was so much. And now he's I didn't even ask him to do this, but I don't know if you've seen the Minecraft server that I've got in my name. Yeah, that's like active. There's people on there all the time, and he's set that up as well. And the people that I think it's quite rare for a streamer and a content creator to be a one-man army. That's not the case. There's always mods behind the scenes. There's always stuff going off behind the scenes that people don't know about. And without those kind of people, we can't do it. So people like Connor, I don't know if Panda's still in the chat. Panda was absolutely vital to the early days of my stream, and without mods like Panda, Connor, Angel, Katie, everyone, my channel wouldn't be nowhere near where it is. They are so important to that, and they take some of the weight off our shoulders, because it is a lot. That is a lot. And this goes back to the very first point I made, where people want to be content creators, but nobody, unless you've done it, you do not realize how much work it is. It is a lot. And the social medias become a huge part of that, because for TikTok, you can't just upload a 30-second clip. There's got to be some kind of editing that goes
Yeah.
behind that. There has to be like something, and that with YouTube, Twitch, it just becomes a lot. So the people that take some of that weight off our shoulders, we do appreciate it. Small streamers, we can't necessarily do what I don't know if Summit and Tyler One pay their mods. I don't know, but just know that, and I'm sure I'm speaking for Stano here as well. Just know that you are appreciated. We genuinely love you, and any streamer who is worth their weight will know that we are not what we are without you, and it's so important, so important. So thank you to those people for that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I've had people, my immediate circle was from people like Captain Tyler, Smithy, Ango. You got Diesel now, who's chat with Discord server. Like I said, I had a Discord server that I didn't utilize because I just didn't like the look of it. It wasn't the Discord channel that I dreamt I would have. Diesel came in, boom, there you go. I've got all your bots in there. I've got all this in there. He's now like moderating my Twitch chat for me as well, so he gets commands set up to save me having to go in and do that. And obviously, like yesterday, one of the things that I have on my channel is a raid scene. So like when you raided me a few months ago, I play that raid scene. It gives people a taste of the kind of content that you expect from me, the funny things I do, the awesome things I do, and then it comes obviously back to me, and it's a nice way to introduce people. And I did not have time to sit there after every stream to go back and look back through and clip things out. It's the people in the chat that spent that time, come out of the stream, clip that for me. There you go, Stanner. Here's a raid scene. And like you said, without the people taking the time to do that, to help us out, to support us, these things don't happen, and these things don't differentiate us anymore from the other streamers that are out there. So 100%, there's people like Tay in the chat as well who supported me for a very long time, and yeah, like you said, there's people there. But the one thing that I was going to say is Pokimane made, I don't know if it was a podcast or a chat show or something, but she was on a YouTube channel. I think, if I'm right in thinking, it was between $50,000 to $80,000 she spends a month on a management team. So all she has to do is press go live. She doesn't edit her YouTube video. She obviously gives her editors a direction on what kind of video she wants to make. But she pays, obviously me and you are not in the position to spend £80,000
of course
a month. But it's nice to have a few people that will take time to help us edit videos or whatever.
I think we have to realize it at this level as well. That is a goal for us. So right now we do have to do all this. We do have to do a lot ourselves, I would say. To start off with, I was doing it myself. And Connor's helped me, but it was because of my work into the stream that Connor ever discovered the stream. So what I'm saying is we have to work initially by ourselves to get ourselves in a position where we can find these great people that will help us, and eventually get to a point where we will be able to pay an editor. So what paying an editor will do for us then is that then we don't have to do that. We now have more time to invest in other areas. And this goes back to that snowball effect I was talking about earlier, where you can get yourself into this position where you can now start having more people help you, because you can afford to actually, maybe one day pay people's wages and actually, have this stuff happening for you, like you say with Pokimane, where all she has to do is click go live, because she has the resources to make that a possibility. Something we don't have yet, 100%. But maybe one day we will. And it's just a case of getting to that point, and then the weight is off our shoulders, and it'll be all happy families. But at this point, it is very much a lot of hard work. Yeah, it's like, I mean, the graphics on, obviously, I don't know if you've got the stream, but the graphics here are very minimal. The podcast logo itself is literally just a microphone in the middle of the SG podcast. But I had to do that myself. Obviously, I know that there's people out there that will make an absolutely killer logo. I mean, the one we had for the COD pod, Ash made, who he dabbles in graphic design here and there. He kind of wants to be able to do that maybe as a full-time job or something. I know he was talking about that to me the other night. He kills things like that, but I don't want to bother or beg these people to make me things. If he volunteered and went, oh, you know what, Stan, I'll help you out, which he did with the COD pod,
we have amazing logos, but I think the thing is that we have to realize as smaller streamers, people that are trying to do it professionally, is you have to sit there for hours and watch YouTube tutorials on how to edit things. You have to, it's like a short-term pain for a long-term gain. You have to watch these videos. You have to put up with, you know, the criticisms on your videos so that you can get better and then eventually hopefully get to a point where you can go, right, I don't need to edit these videos anymore. You know, Syndicate has a Ryan who does all these YouTube editing for him. I think that's, like you said, that's the kind of goal that we want to get to.
Of course, and that's the thing, like these are valuable. That's why you probably won't find a large streamer who's also doing their YouTube videos. You won't find it because they can afford those resources to not do it. And it like I say, it's a lot of work. So they don't need to do that. And that speaks volumes about those of us who do have to do all that and are still doing all that despite the amount of energy that it can take. For a lot of the time, like when you start YouTube, say you're doing Twitch and you're doing all right on Twitch, then you start YouTube, it's very much back to square one almost. You've got that initial sort of audience that are going to help, but it's very much starting from square one, and you're going through all of that again. It's a lot to take on, a lot. And this is why not everyone in the world is a content creator and a streamer. People think you're playing video games for a living. You are. But I would argue the playing video games part of streaming, looking at the grand scheme of things, taking everything into account, let's take in editing, social medias, chat interaction, doing just chatting. I think playing the video games for streaming might genuinely be like 20%.
Oh yeah, 100%
of what we're actually doing. It is minimal, at least until you're at that point where you can pay people to do all the stuff, to do all the extra bits. Then the video games actually come back into it. Right now, bro, I'll tell you now, if I wasn't streaming and everything, I'd have diamond camos and shit on Call of Duty. I've got one gold gun right now because I'm so busy. Like with Black Ops 4, was it? Black Ops 4? Was that the one before this? Before Modern Warfare, I mean, like the last Treyarch one. By Christmas, I was done. I had the camos, I had the max prestige, I was finished. I can't do that now. I'm just too busy, and that's just the facts of it. We don't actually play video games that much anymore. That's the sad truth of it. I don't get to play video games that much anymore. But it's about getting to the point where this hard work, and it is hard work. I do still enjoy it, but it is very much work. We have to go through this stage to get there, where we can just go back to doing whatever the fuck we want. And oh man, someone, I'm not going to name names, I don't know if anyone from works in the stream, but God, one of my managers pissed me off so bad the other day. He referred to my streaming and everything as, he was like, oh, you're not very motivated at work. I know you've got hobbies outside of work. Whoa, I was like, hobbies? Are you mad? Do you know how I put more time into this than I do at work? Hobbies? Shut up, man. Hobbies. Oh, bro, I was fuming. Fucking hobbies. Oh my life, bro. This is a lot of work. So patronizing. People just don't realize how much this takes. It's a lot.
Like you just said, people think, and I think this is the problem as well, when if you're younger and you tell your parents that you're getting into streaming, and they go, oh, you're just going to be playing games for 8 hours a day. You're not going to you're going to forget about your school. I think it's such a, let's use the word stigma. It's just a stigma around content creation that everyone expects all your time is gaming. And like you said, 20% of that time is gaming. The other 80% is clipping, is editing, is promoting, is marketing, is networking. That fucking takes time and skill and a lot of like time spent learning how to do something the right way. And absolutely, that's also a reason why I think it's actually good that when you start off, you have to learn to do these things properly. Because if you then get to a point where you're now paying an editor or you're paying a graphic designer, you know the time it should take them to do something. You know the skill that's involved to do what they do. The one, it stops you from being like fobbed off if they produce something that's awful and you're sitting there going, oh, I literally paid to do this. I could have done that myself in this time or whatever. It helps you out that way. I think it also allows people like me and you to kind of understand and connect on something that we both know how much time, effort we're both putting in to make this hobby a
Yeah.
success, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Streaming it could absolutely be just, if you wanted it to be, just clicking go live and playing games. It can be that. But let's call a spade a spade. I don't know if you know anything about League of Legends at all, but a guy called Faker, the best, arguably, I don't know now, but last I knew, the best player in the world. If all he had done was stream and it was just his gameplay, no webcam, no microphone, none of that. If it was just that, he probably wouldn't have got anywhere on Twitch.
Yeah.
It can be that if you want it to be, but if you genuinely want to make a living out of this, it's so much more. And like I say, I think that journey to get into this point is vital for you to have an appreciation for your audience and to have that level of respect for everybody else as well in the industry and in the business. It's vital. It's vital. And so yeah, I just, it's like I say, people do think it's playing video games for a living. To a degree, it is, but to get to the point where that is the reality for you, there's a lot before that. The thing is as well, when we were younger and I was playing video games for a living, my parents hadn't heard of the multi-millionaire ninja because he didn't exist yet. Whereas now, I know for a fact that there are parents that are getting their kids to do this now.
Yeah.
Because they've seen Ninja, a multi-millionaire, from doing this, and they're like, from playing video games, go get on that fucking Xbox. That is the opposite of that when I was a kid. My parents tried so hard to pull me away from this. It was so detrimental. People don't know this, but I was a COD player to start off with. This is very much where I initially found my addiction for gaming in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I would play it all day, every day. Man, I was good. Nobody that I saw was as good as, like, and you know when you play with kids at like school and stuff, and you'd find people from your local area. I was the best. I was good. But my parents, they didn't like how much I was on, and rather than nurturing that, because why would they? They didn't know that it would be competitive, and that had they nurtured it, I could be very wealthy off of it now. But they didn't know that that was even a thing that existed because it didn't exist yet. Whereas now they see this and there is already that foundation. And it's a completely different thing. We not only were we competing with other people, but we also had to be like, hey, mum, dad, this is a real thing. This is an actual thing that I can do. But there was no ninja. There was no nade shot. There was none of that yet. So yeah, I actually got limited. I was only allowed to play on, what was it? I want to say Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. If I was caught touching the Xbox any day outside of that, I was in trouble. That was hard, man. That was hard because it was like the one thing that I was passionate about and the one thing I was good at, I was made by my parents to feel like I was inadequate for being good at and liking those things. And that hit hard. Whereas now people, and this isn't to take away from anybody, but where now the parents might encourage them to do this. That's just not something that we had back in the day.
No,
at
100%.
all. Complete opposite. Like you say, the stigma to gaming, thank God, it has it started to change. There's more people at work now that game than don't game. Everybody does it. We talk about PCs openly now, whereas back in the day, you talk about that, people would be like, "Fucking nerd," you know what I mean? And
£1,000 on a PC? Are you
exactly
mad? Like,
exactly. That's going away now. Finally, it's about time. I genuinely, I think that in our lifetime we will see competitive gaming on TV and things like that, and I hope so because, bro, it's fucking sick. Competitive gaming's sick. Get it out there. It needs to be mainstream by now.
I said this the other day on stream. I said in my lifetime I will see a competitive Call of Duty weekend, whatever, on Sky Sports or ESPN or BT, whatever the channel is when it happens. But I know in my lifetime it will happen. If the likes of people at Ali have had their own TV shows on various channels at some point, then, you know, Call of Duty, which is now getting over 100,000 viewers, even when the teams that aren't even that followed are playing, then there is, it's mad. Why would a company like Sky or BT, ESPN, whatever they are, what would they miss out on that monetary opportunity for advertising?
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable to think that. But with that being said, that is going to be the end of the podcast. And honestly, I've actually really enjoyed it. One of the things that I did when I started this podcast again was I took in some of the criticisms that we had from last time, as it wasn't structured, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. But I also wanted it to be a chat show. It's a podcast, it's a chat show, it's a chance for me and you to talk about things, for the chat to ask a few questions. And, you know, I've been reading through, a few people are saying it's been a really inspirational podcast. And that's why I said earlier that I like doing this show. It's not for, I don't care about how many views or whatever, but if we can help one person be a bit more inspired, or we can help one person talk about mental health, I'm happy with the way that this show has helped that person. So I guess just a really big thanks, mate. I know that you were working late last night. I know that you woke up early today to jump on the show. So I just appreciate you stopping by, mate, and jumping on.
No problem, man. It's been a pleasure. I'd you know, if you ever want us to come back on, absolutely open to it. It's been fantastic. Obviously I've been looking at chat too. Shout out to everyone who's sat here and watched us.
Yeah,
you know, ramble on about Call of Duty skins and depression, everything.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for watching. Yeah, it's been a pleasure being on, man. Thanks for having me. It's been fantastic.
I appreciate it, mate. Right then, guys that are listening or watching on YouTube, all of SmithDoggy's socials will be in the description. So his Twitch will be there, your Twitter will be there, and I will put your YouTube on there as well. So there's your kind of three main places for
yes, absolutely content. Thank you very much, man.
So yeah, guys, right, we're gonna flip over now. Give us 10-15 minutes to sort of eat some food, reset, and then we'll be continuing the camo grind. So I'll see you soon.